Neverending Chain by Dragon Translator. Chapter 124. We need to get them down. Hiccup? Astrid questioned when he did not say anything more. He's out again, Gyda replied. It's normal. His body is still recovering, but he is strong. Most novices do not wake up for the first time that quickly. Astrid rolled away slightly so she could stare over her shoulder. How long will this last? Gyda frowned. If he is left be, he should be awake in full come morning. Toothless will probably wake up before he does, though. Astrid saw her turn to Stoic, who still stood on the steps. It was disconcerting to see Hiccup's father and her chief staring at her as she laid in his son's bed, her arms encircling her betrothed. She knew he could call in to question the marriage contract, even if nothing happened and she was just caring for Hiccup in his weakened state. Appearances still mattered, hence why Gyda or Fishlegs had to accompany them now that others, some of whom were outsiders of the tribe, were staying upon the island. Some of those others could cause issues with the contract and its legitimacy if they saw her like this. Astrid also knew what Old Man Jorgensen would do if he saw this. His hatred for her family and for Hiccup had not abated with the knowledge of being in Gyda's cave, or hearing the dragon speaking to him and reaffirming that Hiccup was their alpha and not Snotlout. That they would only ever obey Snotlout because Hiccup wanted them to, and the instant that changed, Snotlout could shout orders all day and they would ignore him. They obeyed their alpha. Even Hookfang pointed that out to the old man loudly, and Snotlout was not their alpha, no matter how much Old Man Jorgensen wanted that. It would be better if Hiccup was placed down on the first level, Gyda said, staring at Stoic. He needs all his family around him throughout the night. He will wake and need to be reassured by all of your presence. Chief, that means Astrid needs to stay. I know she is not family right now, because the marriage rites have not been performed. But whatever other powers Hiccups has, recognizes her as his. Removing her from him right now would be the same as removing Toothless from him. Stoic took a deep breath in through his nose and let it out through his mouth. Astrid resisted the urge to giggle. Gyda had taught them that technique in karate. Stoic must have picked it up from Hiccup, since he had told her he practiced their kata forms, as Gyda calls them, in the house with his dad watching, because he wanted to never go behind his father's back again.
We'll get Brynja, Edis and their 2 younger boys. Torgi can remain in the nursery with the others. They soon be family, and with them here, it can be less than he can use against me boy and the lass. But how will we be getting them down? How will we be getting Toothless down?
We will have to wait for a moment, Gyda replied. I suspect Toothless will awaken somewhat soon. So long as he can touch Hiccup, Toothless will be fine. Groggy and really uncoordinated, but fine. Gyda paused and tilted her head. Astrid, do you trust me? Yes, Astrid answered without hesitation. Gyda had proven her loyalty time and again. Astrid trusted her with her life. I will need you to carry Hiccup. You are both light enough that with Toothless and Moondust, or his sister, I won't be overwhelmed. Anyone else, I'd be in the same boat as Hiccup's in right now. What do you mean? I can create that barrier Hiccup used. I did so in Hamish's cave. With you carrying Hiccup and Moondust or his sister helping to keep Toothless from tipping off the side, I can use that barrier as a sort of stairs to get both of you out of this loft. The bed will need to be carried down by someone else, though. Gyda glanced over at Moondust and Toothless's sister. When the second Night Fury joined them, Astrid did not know. She heard many things while Hiccup's call, whatever it was, stabilized, but her focus had been on holding Hiccup and telling him she was there for him, that she would always be there for him. That is, if neither of them does not mind helping, Gyda said. I will help, Elder Gyda, Moondust said before Toothless's sister could speak. Astrid saw Toothless's sister's sensing lobes lift and then twitched. She watched as the sister then shook her head, but appeared amused instead of annoyed. though Astrid could tell the sister was still worried about Toothless. Astrid knew his sister loved him. That she would search so tirelessly for him proved that. And though Astrid had been annoyed with her comments upon their first meeting, Astrid could not find it in herself to stay mad at the Night Fury. The gods knew how she would have been if her brothers were missing, and were found unexpectedly friends with one thought of to be an enemy. Gyda smiled. "Thank you." Gyda then turned to Stoic. "If you are okay with it, I would like to stay. 1, I will be winded after getting them down, and 2, I would like to keep an eye on Toothless's core as he recovers."
"What be this core you speak of, lass?"
Thank the gods Stoic asked that question, because Astrid was curious about it as well. Can we get them down first, sir? I will explain what I can, then. It's not something to speak of with everyone crammed into this tiny space. And I'm sure Elder Gothi would like to return home, so you and Gobber are kind of blocking the stairs. Astrid saw both men blink and jerk. She snickered softly as both men immediately backed down the stairs. Gothi smirked and tipped her head to Gyda before shuffling down the lower first floor. Astrid waited for the door to open, but that did not happen. Instead, she heard Gobber's voice drift up from the loft. "She wants to stay as well." "I do have popcorn here right now," Frost muttered. "We could make this a right party." Gyda snorted. "Silly. Go let your brother know what's happening, and then go and let Pale know you are still alive." "Yes, Mama." Frost's wings flared and he fluttered out of the opening over the heads of the terrors, who were still guarding the opening.
"Gobber, go get Brynja and Edis," Stoic said. "I'll be staying here, and help me get my boys down."
"Aye, Chief." Astrid heard the door open and close, and then heard the thud of Stoic's boots upon the stairs. She saw Gyda move to the foot of the bed, and then saw Stoic come to the side as she still laid upon. Astrid stared up at him. He looked down at her and smiled.
"My son be lucky to have you, lass."
"No," Astrid whispered. "I'm lucky to have him, sir." Stoic reached down and gently patted Astrid's shoulder once before straightening and staring down at Hiccup and Toothless. She smiled when Stoic reached over her, gently tousled Hiccup's hair, rubbed Toothless's muzzle, and then held out his hand and arm to Sharpshot.
"Come, son. When your brothers wake, we'll need to get 'em both down quickly."
Sharpshot nuzzled against Hiccup's arm and then climbed up to settle upon Stoic's shoulders. Astrid glanced up, finding the terror looking down, eyes upon Hiccup. Astrid turned back to Hiccup, tugging him closer to her, though she made sure Toothless's nose was still buried in Hiccup's hair. Silence reigned except for the steady breaths of all in the house and the crackling of the fire pit. A groan from Toothless broke the stillness several heartbeats later. Astrid watched green eyes blink open. She lifted her right hand and placed it on top of Toothless's muzzle. The eyes stared at her, but she knew they were unfocused and unseeing right now. "What it me?"
"We'll answer that in a moment, son," Stoic said softly. "For now, we need to get you and Hiccup to the lower floor. Go on, lass."
Astrid reluctantly released Hiccup. Her heart seized when he began to squirm. She quickly stood, and Stoic picked him up, placing him sideways in her arms. Toothless whined. Moondust moved, chittering softly. She lowered her muzzle, gently nuzzling Toothless's chin on top of her head. He still hissed and grumbled. Moondust cooed and warbled. She backed up, and Toothless followed, though with wobbly steps. Moondust cooed and warbled softly in what Astrid assumed was an encouraging manner, and never moved her head from under Toothless's chin. As soon as he was clear of the far side of the bed, and both Night Furies were at the edge of the loft, Astrid moved to Toothless's side. Stoic reached over, placing Hiccup's hand upon Toothless's head. Toothless stopped whining and began purring. His eyes remained unfocused and his stance remained wobbly, but he was no longer complaining. Progress. "Step out onto the barrier," Gyda said from below. Astrid gasped as the air to the right of the loft's floor height became solid white. She tentatively stepped out and her jaw dropped as it took her weight with no bend. Moondust backed up onto it with Toothless following. Astrid had the presence of mind to make sure Hiccup's hand touched Toothless's head. "Walk out to the other barrier." The air in front and a step down turned white. Astrid walked forward while Moondust stepped back. Toothless stumbled but followed. Step to the right now, Gyda said as more air to the right and another step down turned white. They did so. Now step back. Neither Astrid nor Moondust hesitated, though Toothless still warbled, but Moondust kept him upright. Barely. This continued, with Gyda making a barrier in front and a step down, then behind and down another step. The only sounds in the room were the fire pit and Gyda's increasingly winded instructions. As soon as Astrid's feet hit the wood, she saw Gyda drop to her knees. Gothi was at the Major's side in an instant. Astrid blinked and her jaw dropped as Gothi's hand glowed bluish-green, a colour that reminded Astrid of the sea at times. Gothi then placed her glowing hand upon Gyda's head. Gyda jerked slightly. Somehow, Astrid heard Gyda whisper, and thankfully not sounding as winded as before, I am not surprised by this. Astrid found she was grateful at least one of them was, because a feather could have knocked her over right now. Stoic, having come down on the stair, did not look any better. Gothi just smirked. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed this one. I like this. And that bit at the end, Gothi is a mage? Okay, loving that. And her just smirking like, now you know. Silent queen energy, I love this woman. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.